He is best known for his role as Ollie in The Thick of It. And, well, she spent 7 years in Albert Square. She was Tanya in EastEnders. So Chris Addison and Joyner have teamed up. Chris and Joe have teamed up for Sky's new sitcom. It's on Sky Living. It's called Trying Again. And I spoke to Chris Addison and Joyner just before we came on air.
Good afternoon,
Hello,
Richard.
good afternoon.
Welcome. Well, Joe, welcome for the first time.
Thanks for having me.
Chris, welcome back.
Thanks very much for having me back.
Now, let's talk about Trying Again. It's excellent. It's lovely. It's warm. It's that's a good description, isn't it? I mean, I know that it's more complex than that because, Joe, you've been having an affair, but it is essentially, Chris, it's a warm show.
Joe has.
Joe.
Meg has. Good.
Sorry,
Lord.
that's true.
Let's be clear about that. Yeah, it is essentially warm, and I think that's the nice thing about Meg. And when we meet her after this affair, actually, is that genuinely that affair was the sort of thing that could happen to any nice couple or any nice person. I think that's the nice thing about watching this is that you are genuinely going along thinking, oh, that is. I can identify with these moments and these trials that they're all going through.
Because it's the point. It's the point in a relationship because they've known each other for years and years. Well, been together for years and years and years. And it's. I think Meg's just had a wobble at that point where people quite often, 7 years or so into a relationship, go, "Is this it? Stick or twist?" And she's just it just panicked really, and then realised that the panic was wrong. So
apparently, by the way, well, I say apparently. I was at a dinner party recently with some very clever people, and someone pipes up and said the 7-year itch is a myth. But it's a no 12. Oh, I don't know what's happening in your life, Joe.
Yes.
But they said this person said no, it's a 12-year itch, and then 2 other people both piped up and said no, it's 12 years. It's the 12-year itch.
You mean I've still got it to come?
Oh yeah.
Although, where am I
we will
at?
all be having an affair when we're 12 years into our marriage.
No. See, but that's
I'm
the thing.
11
not
years
marriage,
into the relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, you're 11 years into the
Yeah.
relationship.
Damn, that's a good question. Do we mean relationship or marriage? I guess it means
that's
relationship.
A good question. Did you
doesn't
not
it?
check with these very
I
intelligent
should have
people?
done, shouldn't
Richard?
I?
Well, it must be the relationship, mustn't it? Because it would have been marriage in the old days. That would have been sort of pretty much instant. I think
So it's coming to me next year.
So
Is
don't
this
make
what we're
any
saying,
major
boys?
financial decisions in the next 12 months.
Yeah. So, Joe, I think we've more or less explained the premise of this. So it's you play a couple who live in a town near the Lake District, and Joe, your character, had this affair, and you are, to use the title of the show, Trying Again. And Chris, you co-created this.
I did
as
with
well.
Mr. Simon Blackwell, who is a wonderful writer and friend. Who we met on a show which the rightly cancelled state we're in, which was a show for BBC Awful, which is an attempt by the news and entertainment departments to co-produce a satirical show, which, as you can imagine, went terrifically well. Anyway, we met on that, and then he is one of the writers of The Thick of It, the Peep Show, The Old Guys, all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And we wanted to create a thing that he could write and that I could be in, and we both wanted to make a sort of grown-up romantic comedy. There wasn't Boy Meets Girl that was a bit crunchier, and as you said, quite, as Joe's saying, quite real and realistic. And so this was the fruit of that session of what should we make.
And in making it the wife that's had the affair, were you worried about, because you need obviously Joe's character to be likeable, and she is, but as a writer, were you worried about how you would achieve that?
Well, we weren't when we were putting the show together, and when Simon was writing the scripts. No, Meg felt completely right to us. She felt basically right. The problem came when we started to have people in for castings, lots of whom are absolutely fabulous and gave terrific performances, but somehow, because the key to the show is making Meg lovable, likeable, instantly forgivable, and making her a fighter, really. She needs to have spark and feist, and, she's sorry, but she's not going to take this line down. She's going to get this relationship back on track. And nobody really played it like that. And then Joe came in, and we got to the point, actually, where we were thinking, maybe you can't do this. Mm-hmm. But Joe came in and instantly... everything was okay.
That's very sweet of you.
It's true.
I mean, we did have a look at things. It was important to make sure. There was a couple of things that we tweaked, didn't we?
Definitely.
To protect her likability, as it were. But I think that's what's really important about this show as well, is that, just because you have an affair or fling or a blip or somebody makes a mistake in a relationship doesn't mean that you should instantly be, on the Jeremy Kyle show and,
I agree.
and never ever unwritten off and never trying again. I think people are very quick to judge, aren't they? But everybody's capable of having an accident, I believe.
No, they are,
and that's sort of the point. Meg has to be lovable, because you have to make that point that it could be anybody.
Yeah.
you
It
have
could have
to,
been Matt,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to believe that. You have to think that it's just a mistake that this lovely person.
And there's also a lot of other relationships within the show as well. There's some really great duos. There's the people that we work with. There's a lot of couples and in different variations. And we've got such a fantastic cast, haven't we? We've got Lizzie Barrington, we've got Charles Edwards, Alexander McQueen. We've got so many fantastic people that are great to watch.
So it's
as well.
a series of double acts. That's how we always sort of think of it. So there's Matt and Meg, but then there's Meg and her co-worker played by Alex McQueen Martin, and there's Matt and his co-worker Sam, and Matt and Gail, who is his sister, and so on. So it's just the whole thing works in a series of lovely double acts.
I think that I can imagine that in the TV creation process that there would have been some nerves about, how do you make a character who's had an affair likeable? But the reality is, in your own life, we all know people who've had affairs. You don't automatically hate them all, do you?
And we know women that have had affairs as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that was something that I really liked about it as well, was that, Matt and Meg have a slightly role reversal relationship. She is more likely to be fixing the radiator and grouting the bathroom, and he's more likely to be doing the cooking and worrying about who's turned the lights off. And that's what makes them a great yin and yang and makes a really good balanced relationship between the two of them. But in my experience, a lot of the women I know are, I don't know whether you say wearing the trousers in the family, but certainly, earning the money, going out and working, and kind of, quite happily grouting a bathroom. Yeah. And equally, as they approach 40, a lot of them are, having a little blip.
This is so what we've all got ahead of us. Actually,
well, I've got it next year, according to you guys.
That's
haven't
right.
I?
You could diarise that now.
I am forewarned is forearmed.
Yes, true.
This is set in a little town in the Lake District,
Kendal.
In Kendal, and here's what I don't understand.
Okay,
that's where the mint cake comes from.
Yes, sir. Yeah. That's correct. Hence the name.
Oh, that's why Sky sent me some Kendal mint cake.
Yes, did they?
They sent me some Kendal mint cake to promote your show.
Well, and my character works.
I'm not bright enough to say, this show must be set in Kendal.
Bless you. No, it's good of you to ask. There are very few people who ask for clarification on things. That's why we're doomed as a species. So it's good to know that you're bucking the trend.
You tell Sky that I appreciate them sending it me, but it's not actually very nice Kendal mint cake. It's essentially just a mouthful.
I love it.
No.
It's very good, but it's not a great time to have it after Christmas when everybody's supposed to be giving up sugar this year. That's this year's trend, isn't it? So
it is just sugar. It is just a mouthful of sugar. That's all it is, with a tiny hint of mint.
Sugar and peppermint oil, and it is absolutely delicious. It's one of the tastes of my childhood.
In chocolate, the chocolate-coated version.
Well, we went to there was a Thai restaurant in Kendal where they gave you a little, when restaurants give you a little mint with the bill, and it was chocolate coated Kendal mint cake.
I'm thinking, where was I that night? How on earth did I
You were off with the kids.
Thai?
You were off with the kids.
Oh, children. Well, that's okay then.
Yeah, I think that might be the only meal I had in 2 months that was without you.
So you've spent a lot. Of course, you spent a lot of time together.
A lot of time together.
Now, let me say this:
eating.
Kendal seems very nice. It seems very pretty.
Yes, it is.
But in creating, you've created the show. You could have said it anywhere.
Yes.
Given that was within your gift, why on earth wouldn't you just set it in London?
Well, it's a good point, because London is, of course, the problem with London is nobody ever sets anything there, and it really just deserves its time in the spotlight. Because we deliberately didn't want to set it there for a number of reasons, but you see that all the time. You see things set in London, and
not enough.
No, I hear you, and I think that's related rather to the movements of your own career on a day-to-day level, Richard, than actually what you might see on the television. But because we wanted to set it in a small town, because that actually that kind of magnifies their problems. If you're in the kind of town where everybody knows everybody, then it's much harder to get over something like an affair. You can't hide in a massive population, everything is just there for people to see. So we knew we wanted to set it in a small town, and we knew and everything is set in London, so we deliberately didn't want to do that. And we wanted to make Matt and Meg. Quite often you see on sitcoms that the characters are teachers or in publishing, or something that's a slight analogue of the writer's life, and we wanted Matt and Meg to have be perfectly happy, but have jobs and not careers, like an awful lot of people in the world.
I also think that one of the nice details in this show is that so Meg has had this affair, as we know. She has to take a job, and her benefits will be cut if she doesn't take a job.
Yeah.
And the only job available is the job back at the doctor's surgery where she had the affair in the first place.
Because that would actually be the truth. If you're talking about a small town and not very many jobs, and the one that she's most suited to is obviously the one that she left. And they're saving, at the same time, they're saving up for her to make this positive commitment towards him and to, get their own place and buy their own place. So she's she's in this vicious circle where she needs the money with the job, and the job is unfortunately back where it all started.
And she does it in all good faith. She does it believing, okay, that's all over, and she does it believing this is the right thing for me to do for me and Matt. She doesn't want to, but it's a sacrifice on her part. So she ends up, back in.
You're
back
so
in
understanding
surgery.
of her. It's very good.
I am very understanding of her, but I must say, Matt is less understanding.
Let's have a listen. Let's have a listen to a clip. So this is Sky Living's "Trying Again."
Yeah, it's a huge old massive biggie. Buying together.
Yeah, so I decided to have a baby. I'm not suggesting that we have a baby. I'm just saying that it's the same sort of commitment.
Well, more. Mortgage is a commitment to spend 25 years together, isn't it? Kids have usually left home by the time they're 18. Earlier, if they're taken into care.
You're still unsure about children?
Well, we can't decide whether to have a baby, to move baby.
Yeah, the baby's up in the air. It's like Michael Jackson's baby.
Funny.
Yeah, that's what we were going for.
Let me say this. That is in that. I should have explained that going into that clip. That's you two in couples counselling, isn't it? That scene there.
Yeah, the brilliant Catherine Jake Grace
she's
plays this
fantastic.
incompetent counsellor,
She's
Paula.
really good.
Yeah, she's really
her.
funny. She's clearly a woman who's read a couple of books on counselling. I thought I can do that.
Go in the back room.
Yeah.
And also, if you live in a tiny little town, I don't suppose there's that much choice. There's not much of a marketplace.
Exactly.
For
Once
counsellors.
again,
She may well
she was
be
the one
best.
recommended, probably.
That's right. Yeah, she's the only one. She's the best counsellor in our fictional version of Kendall.
Do you, Simon Blackwell and yourself co-created this? Do you write the script for this as well, Chris?
No. So he and I created the sort of situation and the characters, and then we storyline the series and also episodes together. And then he is the man who sits there and bashes it all out, and gives it the lovely flavour that it's got, and the the very funny dialogue and so forth. So that's how that works. And then he hands it over, and I go and say the words that he said.
So he bashes out.
Yeah, So Simon's the one who sits there and types out the word. I didn't type it out. He creates. He wrangles the words and the.
Why didn't you write
dialogue
words
and
with
jokes.
him? Is my point. Why didn't you?
Well,
write the script
because
with him?
we initially set the whole thing in motion as something that he could write and I could be in. Because when we first started talking about it, I'd just done a sitcom for BBC Two called Lab Rats, and I'd written that and was in it. And goodness me, it took a lot of time. I mean, it took a lot of time to do. So, it's months and months and months of writing. It takes a long time to make it and then edit it and so on. And it meant that I was away from a lot of other things I wanted to do, including stand-up for far too long. So it felt like, okay, is there a way of doing this where we can split the... I'm doing something that I want to do and that is my thing, but where we split the labours slightly. That's what that was about, really.
And it gives you more time. You've also been directing Veep as well, haven't you? And you're about to go and do some more of that.
Yeah. We're just winding up. HBO have just commissioned season 4, so we're just beginning the process of putting that together now.
So this is Armando Iannucci's show, which is about.
So it's a sort of
the vice
American
president.
cousin of The Thick of It, if you like. It isn't The Thick of It, but it certainly shares some aspects. So it's about the vice president of the United States, Selena Meyer, as played by the wonderful Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who was Elaine in Seinfeld most famously, it's quite the thing. It's quite a thing to be involved in. I love it.
And to direct that, the first time you had to say to Julia Louis-Dreyfus, listen, that take was fine. Here's what I think you need to do to improve it.
Yeah.
I would imagine that was intimidating.
Yes, she was very intimidated. But that's why I deliberately, I'd gone to the butcher's, I'd cover myself in blood, because it just gives you more of an imposing presence as a director on the set. It was, but it was, it was the same problem that I had when I directed Sick of It, and I was having to say that to Peter Capaldi and to Rebecca Front, and in fact to all of them. I think to begin with, when I first met Julia, I thought it was an extraordinary moment, obviously, but I sort of allowed myself 30 seconds of going, holy moly, before thinking, now you have to just keep all of that under wraps because you've got a job to do. And the thing about Julia, and in fact all of everybody else I've ever worked with in this way, is that what they're really interested in is getting the best result possible. So they're interested in the collaboration. That your job as the director is to run the collaboration on set, essentially. So when you say to them, yeah, I really liked it, but it's not... maybe we could do something else. They're interested in you saying that. What they want is you there as quality control because they want the best possible, outcome. So long as they trust you. And they trust your instincts.
And they feel involved rather than you being dictatorial.
But it's, everything, the way that we run, you're not being dictatorial. I mean, I think there are people, obviously there are directors who work like that, and that's a famous thing. But the way that Veep runs as a show is, and The Thick of It ran as well, takes its cue from how Armando runs everything, which is to say it's incredibly collaborative and it's very collegiate and everybody has a say and everybody's allowed to have a say. And so, the process of directing it is figuring out between you what the best thing is here. And so it is intimidating to start with, but actually I found that, and I'll be honest, I did think, please just get it right. Please don't let me have to go and ask you to change something. But actually my impulse when I sit behind the monitors and watch the scene and think, oh, no, is far greater than my embarrassment at saying anything about it. I'm too much of a busybody to not say those things. So, that kind of got me over that hurdle.
Did I read somewhere that the real vice president did a set visit, or did Julia go to the White House?
Yeah, I think he did. Or his no, Julia. She's met the vice president. She went to a state dinner.
Right.
For the president of France, I think, at the White House. So she sat next to Joe Biden, the vice president of the United States.
Had he seen it?
During that, have I seen?
Had he seen Veep?
Oh yeah, they love it. They love it. All those people, they love it. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the president, in fact, said at one point to Julia that he was a fan of the show.
So he's seen your directing.
He didn't like that bit, but everything else he enjoyed.
Joe, how long ago did you leave EastEnders?
Nearly a year
Nearly
to the
a
month,
year.
in fact. Yeah, May last year. So, in fact, you know what? Pretty much this week.
Pretty much this week.
Year.
It's your anniversary.
It's my anniversary. I didn't
not
even
of it being on
realise.
telly, but your anniversary of leaving the work.
So it was on for another 2 months after that, probably. So July on telly.
Okay, and you left. I think you left because it's just a bit of an all-consuming job, and you want to spend more time with your family.
Yeah, frankly, yeah.
How long were you there?
I was there for 7 years.
I assume it's an exhausting show to make.
Yeah, it is. It is, because it's relentless. It's such a massive machine, and the volume of work and scenes they're doing is phenomenal. I mean, they do an amazing job, and it does really show you up if you're not good at your job. But you're doing about 22 scenes a day average.
Are you?
Compared to 7
Obviously
on a
not you
normal
personally,
drama.
you mean, but there are
yes,
22
you personally sometimes.
How can you do 22 scenes
Well,
in this
exactly,
day? That
back
doesn't make
to
any
back,
sense.
2 pages, and then obviously if you're in every day, you're going home and learning 40 pages of dialogue that night.
No, that can't be true. 22 scenes in a day?
Yes, so I think the best days are about 17, and they can be about 22.
How many different episodes does that span?
A block is 4. You'll be doing maybe 2, 12. You can be across. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting already. 8, and then sometimes 12 if you're doing a triple bank, maybe more. So in one day you could film a scene from 8 different episodes.
And so within an hour you could be shooting a scene from one show and a second show that are 8 episodes apart. So
yes, you could. Yeah.
Chris, do you find that
with
extraordinary?
3 different units running as well. So there's 3 different directors, sometimes 2 or 3 different directors. So you'll be running between those as well.
Do you sometimes not even know the context of what you're talking about? Do you? Because there's so much going on. Do you sometimes not really know why you're shouting at somebody? You're just going to shout at them.
I think a lot of people can get like that, and it's understandable. But no, myself and Jake were pretty good on that, doing our homework. I think if you've been a jobbing actor before, you kind of bring that to it, and you feel a bit too exposed if you really didn't know what you were doing. But the directors are also all over it, so they're brilliant. So if you are a bit lost and you're like, well, hang on a minute, do I know about the affair at this point? Or no, it's still a surprise. Great, right, well, off we go. It's a full-on job, and obviously, as you can imagine, in Wolford, it can be a bit miserable sometimes. It's not exactly a barrel of laughs, a lot of the things that you're filming, because that's the nature of drama. It was a good time to have a little break and do some other stuff.
Chris, can I just say this finally to you?
Yes,
working
sir.
with Peter Capaldi on The Thick of It,
Yes,
as a Doctor Who, well, let me give you some options. Will he be a poor Doctor Who, An average Doctor Who?
Oh,
a good
come
Doctor
now!
Who?
You know exactly what's going to say. You've done your research. I've said it for years and years and years, long before even Matt Smith did it. Actually, I think Peter Capaldi is the ideal person to play the Doctor, and I think I think what he will add to it. I think that for me, there's been a note missing from the stuff that I loved as a kid. I've really enjoyed it since it came back in 2005. I think it's a brilliant job that Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat have done. It's incredible. And the actors have been wonderful. I think Peter has this thing where what I miss about the Doctor is you didn't know whether you were safe with him or not. He was your best bet to save the universe, but at one point he could be a massive, genie solving problems, and at another point he could be a mischievous imp, and you don't know what you don't. He's terrifying because he's mercurial, and you don't know what he's going to do, and he can turn on a sixpence. And Peter can absolutely do that. I think he's going to be the Tom Baker of our time.
Great. So he needs to occasionally be frightening.
I absolutely believe that. I really believe the Doctor, and the Doctor's been much more emotional since he came back, and much more emotive, and we've been worried. He's had romantic storylines, and he's had stuff about the terrors of his past and all of that. And what I'd like to see as a fan is that Doctor that we had, where I just didn't know what he was going to do next, and I think that. Peter just brings that, and he also, he's that bit older than the people who've been playing him so far, and I think that really helps. I think you've got a character that's 1,200 years old, and it's so the regeneration thing help. It doesn't matter what he looks like, that's fine. You've got the excuse for whatever he looks like, but Peter looks like a man. He can.
He's older than William Hartnell when William Hartnell started.
Right. Okay. And he's got and Peter's got these fantastic eyes.
Yes.
That make it look like you go. Oh yeah, you have seen the 1,200 years of the Doctor's life. I think he's going to be amazing.
Thank you. Another good answer. Thank you. Trying Again is on Sky Living, and it's Thursdays at 9, isn't it? Thursdays
at 9. There
9
are
o'clock.
repeats. Look out for them. It's on Sky Go and On Demand and all those things.
Don't watch it.
Don't
watch it and think, I must give Kendall Mint Cake a go.
No, do if you like. I like Kendall.
I like it.
I like Kendall Mint Cake a lot.
There's actually